ultimately, I think everything kind of comes down to building a customer-centric business out of the gate. Actually, prior to that, how's the conference going? Are you guys having a good time? Like super fun? I can't believe there are 700 people here this year. Like last year, it was one room and one track, and the year before that, I think it was like one office. Like, anyway, it's gotten really big. I like to have fun when I present and when I talk, and so I want this to be super engaging. So for everyone who thinks they're like really cool in the back row and want to sneak out, I would encourage you to like come up here. I don't really want to wait till the very end for Q&A, so just like shout things out. Admittedly, I have been given more time than I originally planned for, so we're gonna have to like, really make this. We'll get there together. So I will probably like shout out some people's names as we go. So if you want me to yell your name, like put your name tag somewhere where I can see it. Otherwise, I'll just pick like the people like Priscilla and Mary and Kat, who I already know. So, all right. Anyway, my timer has not started. I'm trying to kill time. There we go. 2 seconds in. OK, so building a customer-centric business out of the gate. My opinion. Well, you'll see. Let's get into it. So that's me, Mr. Engley. I used to teach elementary school. This was an illustration that one of the kids in my grade 6 class did of me. It's actually really accurate. Like, he has the arm hair. I didn't quite have a beard. I just never shaved, so I had stubble. But I loved polos. Like, I wore a lot of polos, and going through my Facebook, I was like, holy shit, it is polos everywhere. So I'm like, more polos. Love polos, lots of polos. Like, I loved them a lot, evidently. But along with teaching elementary school, I mean, elementary school is all about communication. When you're talking to kids, they need to understand something. You can say, like, whatever the hell you think you're going to communicate, but ultimately, it only matters if in the end, they can tell you back, like, the things they have learned. It's all about assessment and making sure they understand where you're coming from. I was also a massage therapist before that. So along with loving my polos, like, I loved my clients, they were great people, but I learned kind of similar lesson, it is all about communication. You cannot make assumptions when you are building these kinds of relationships with people. If you walk into a massage and you're just like, get to work, and you're like, hey, how's this? Then your client's gonna be like, it's not really where it hurts, it's here. So that's why, you go through massage school, you do all this stuff, it is all about clarifying communication and knowing what's going on. You have these massive assessments. Like, how many times have you been or like booked a massage and they're like, please show up 15 minutes early so you can have tea and fill out your intake forms? Like, right? Yeah, they're kind of a pain in the ass, and hopefully your therapists are using them and not just pushing them aside. Because the point here is to make sure that they understand where you're coming from. So that when you say, oh, it hurts when I do this, they can actually figure out what the problem is and they're not just treating symptoms. Anyway, communication and miscommunication is rampant. Mary, what's your question?
Have you ever done like a pre-assessment kind of form or questionnaire with customers?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say that's largely the sign-up process, right? So when we're asking for information like name, email address, et cetera, one thing that's been really important for me, and we'll get into this a little bit later on, is understanding more about who our customers are. So Unbounce is a landing page builder for marketers. So when you sign up for it, one of the questions is, how do you currently build your landing pages? And if you tell us, I don't, well, that puts you in a particular bucket. Whereas if you say, oh, like we hand code them or we use Marketo, I'm like, hey, you are a totally different customer. So yeah, we do those assessments beforehand so that when we're sending out emails, we're sending the right kind of messages to people. Really good question. So keep them coming. Like, seriously, interrupt me. I got 17 minutes left. OK, so miscommunication. Just like I love memes and comics, so I love examples of miscommunication. There we go. Yeah, Batmobile. I like this one as well. Like, poor King Kong. Like, he just had, can you hear me now? Like, yeah. And I particularly like this one, which is just about ambiguity. Complimentary peanuts. I think it's hilarious. Anyway, so taking that idea of miscommunication and communication in general and applying it to our work environments instead of comic books and elementary schools and massage. So this is me. I look after our customer success team, and this is Carter. He's one of our co-founders, and he's our director of product. Now, is everyone here customer success? I assume so. This is a customer success summit. OK, how often do you try and get information from your customers to someone else in the company, and they just don't quite get what you're trying to explain to them. Okay, all the time, right? Like all the time, where you're like, seriously? Like, customers don't use these features this way. This is not what they need. When they ask for this kind of integration, they need it to do this particular thing. So as a kind of a model for miscommunication, there's what I want to say, which is pretty important, what I think I'm trying to communicate. And then really in the end, it's like going back to elementary school and what kids understand and can tell you on a test. It's like what Carter understands. But I am not in a position where I can like give him a test and be like, Carter, multiple choice. Do you understand what I am asking you for? I don't think that would fly. But anyway, so there's what I want to say and what Carter understands. And then these are all the filters along the way. There's what I want to say, what I actually say and have the ability to communicate. Then there's personal filters that exist in between that. And then there's what Carter hears me say and then ultimately what he understands in the end. I get it right now. This is kind of what I assumed the audience would look like packed room but confused faces, hopefully, like packed room, we'll see. So what the hell am I talking about? Just bear with me. There is a point. I am going somewhere with this. More people means more miscommunication. And coming from a startup where I was like the second person, now there are 100 of us, trust me, there's a lot of miscommunication. So when you want to build a customer-focused business out of the gate, you kind of have to plan for this. And you have to break down all of those barriers for miscommunication. So here we go. This is now just like 4 people, and these are all the possible interactions. And if you go back to kind of that concept earlier of all the filters, those filters exist everywhere. So if I speak to someone and tell them something and they go to someone else, it's like a game of telephone where that message is breaking down the whole time. And what does this have to do with customers? Seriously? Like, you are asking this question? Like, okay, I'll honor that. So there we go. We've thrown a couple of customers into the mix where I am chatting with people on a daily basis. Carter is chatting with other people. We're interpreting those messages, and now we're trying to share them with the team. This is a problem. This is what you wind up producing. The customer explains whatever the hell that is in the top left. Project leader misunderstands it. Business consultants describe it as this amazing comfy chair. Operations installs something totally wrong, and what the customer really just needed in the end was that little tire swing. They just need someone to listen to them, to find their voice and advocate for it within the company. So you really have to find your customer's voice. There's so much opportunity for miscommunication as a company grows that you need advocates for your customers at all times. These are barnacles. This is a poor little sea turtle just trying to do his thing, and there are these things kind of clinging onto him and bringing him down. So when I say you need to find your customer's voice, I'm just sending this as like a little, I didn't even notice you guys sitting way back in that corner. You're like totally trying to pretend that I can't see you, but I can. So as a business, you will have customers that are barnacles as well. Like that's kind of, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm going with it. I'm sticking with it. I chose this slide, and I'm going to own it. OK, I can't see this from over here. So these are legit support tickets that we have received. Ticket number 1, trying to create a new page. I'm trying to create a new page, something about a blank template. The headline and image, I try and copy and paste to the next box, which I can do, but when I save and preview, nothing is there. How do I do that? This is all the same guy, by the way. So ticket number 2, in my dashboard, on the page about best supplements, I have a green arrow towards the bottom that I duplicated from one at the top, and I tried to move it down, but how do I delete it? Number 3, how do I add back a green arrow after I've deleted it? Like, this guy just keeps going. And there's more. I found this yesterday. This is an email we sent out to one of our customers, which we send to all of our customers. And then he replied and was like, hi, could you tell me what exactly is landing page? Like, seriously? This is, so when you are gathering feedback, you have to be aware that these kind of customers exist. And should you still listen to them? Yeah, but please don't plan your businesses around them. It won't work. Otherwise, you will build this. You will build the Homer Simpson car. And I don't know if you've seen this episode, but basically, like, Homer builds this car, and then it sinks this guy's business. So how do you make sure you're listening to the right customers? I will move up here so you can see me again. Really, like, just talk to all of them. We've set up automations that go out to every single person that signs up for our product to gather feedback constantly. Like, we gather feedback within the first 30 days, 6 months, every support interaction, product usage. We have automations if someone is using mobile responsive or if they're using another feature we have called dynamic text replacement, where we send NPS surveys all the time. So, we're not going to plan our entire business around all of this information, but as long as you're gathering it, at any time where you set business objectives, you can then go back, and then you have that segment of information, where if you're trying to improve churn, you can look at the customers who have churned. If you're trying to improve feature adoption, you can look at customers who have adopted those particular features. So you just want to make sure that you have like all the customer information ever, all the time, but you need to be able to segment it so that you're not having those barnacles weigh you down. So with this is an automation platform we use where we can pass through like all kinds of account data, from like their plan to how much traffic they send to their landing pages, to like what kind of industry they're in, what kind of marketer they are. They don't see it. Like the survey is kind of ugly and really short, but all of that information is captured through hidden fields so that when we then go look at the information, we can segment it however we need to. So we know we're listening to the right customers and we're getting feedback from the right stage of the life cycle. So that's kind of one thing I would really advocate when you are trying to build a customer-focused business out of the gate. Like get feedback constantly, all the time, from everyone. Just make sure that you can segment it appropriately so that you can act on the right customer voice. So this is kind of a model, like I feel like if I'm presenting, yeah, what's going on? I have a seat at the table because I'm really obnoxious and like won't shut up. So I like force my way in. Yeah. No, that's a really good question. It does come, it is very top down. Like our founding team had a very strong customer focus right from the beginning. And we've really tried to build our business around that. Yeah, I would say that comes down to objectives and planning. You know, if you can have, like, I think customer success or like a strong voice for the customer needs to be involved in planning at all stages. Spoiler, that's a slide later on. If you, let's say, like, whatever model you use, like, I don't know, the Rockefeller principles or like OKRs, whatever it is for planning, if you make sure that you have a customer-focused objective in there, then it's easier to make that argument. But it does have to be a priority, and I can understand it being really difficult if like the powers that be don't care about it. You're fighting an uphill battle, in which case, like, why do they implement customer service or customer success then? Yeah. Yeah, but it's actions speak louder than words, right? Like, sure, you can say you care a lot about customers, then prove it. Like, do it. And for me, that means that CS has to be involved in the planning, like all throughout the way. So you got to have a really outspoken, like, director of customer success who can argue all the time. Yeah. All right. So yes, other good question. So yeah, keep them coming. So this is a model just kind of representative of how this all works. Like, we have all of our customer information in our database, like so much, and we pass that all into the email automation tool, which sends the surveys. So that data kind of flows through, and then when people reply to the surveys, that is all fed back into our database. So it's like this constant loop. It allows us to do really rad things where, let's say we're collecting NPS feedback, and we know, okay, so again, Unbounce landing page builder, you connect it for like lead generation to other marketing tools you use, like let's say MailChimp for email marketing. If you reply to one of our surveys and you give us a 10 out of a 10 for Net Promoter Score, which is your likelihood to refer people to try our product, and I know you're using MailChimp, I can then send you an automation afterwards that's like, hey, how's the MailChimp integration going? Would you mind reviewing us in the MailChimp marketplace? And since you're very likely to refer, and since you really like us, we'll get a really good review. So it's quite effective. Going back to your comment about processes, I know that startups like, they hate process. They're just like, no, we're cool and we're agile and we're fun. But like, honestly, when your startup is successful, yes, I'm going to ask you to implement a process. And coming up with a process for collecting and sharing customer feedback is, I think, like one of the most important things you can do from day one. So NPS surveys have become our strongest tool for finding our customer's voice. Like I said, we send them out like constantly at many different stages of the life cycle, many different points of product usage. So we're constantly getting like little bits of information that we can then slice and dice however need be. Yeah, like we do other stuff too, but what was originally supposed to be a 10-minute presentation, which is now 20 minutes, I just didn't want to get to like too much stuff. Yeah?
What's the response rate on your NPS?
It's pretty high, actually. So you're wondering, like, if we send out an email, how many people actually like will click through? So yeah, the best gauge I have for that is the click rates for those emails, and it's good. Our open rates are usually they're above 50%, like 50 to 60, and then the click rates I think kind of vary, like 30-ish. You can get really good engagement on these when they're based on behavior. So it's one thing to send out an email that's time-based, but it's another thing to send it out when someone actually completes an action and it's relevant. Like if you build a responsive landing page and we know, and then we can follow up like a day later, it's like, hey, how'd responsive go? You're more likely to reply than if you just I don't know, Saturday morning get a random email and you're like, nope, not today. Yeah. So context is really important there.
I guess, so if you don't do these, do you do these first of all on a semi-annual or whatever basis, or you do it per action like you were just describing? If you're doing it on per action, how do you compare your NPS score now versus in the future or in the past or whatever?
That is a really good question. So we do these ongoing, so they're constantly being sent out. We still do an annual survey as well, which gives us kind of that one snapshot. So far as comparing it, I look at a 90-day trailing window when I compare our NPS. So I could do a historical average, though that's not really that meaningful. So I try and make sure it's just within a particular time span. Yeah, here's an example. This is our NPS for anyone who's contacted our support team. And then underneath there, you can't see it, but so that's plan level. This is customer type. So are you a marketing agency, a small business, or a team? And then this is vertical. So yeah, we can dig in and kind of see what people think of us at different segments. So ideally, obviously we want to make sure that our NPS is really solid among the customers who pay us more money. If our free users think we're great, but our paid customers think we're awful, then we have a problem.
What do you actually do with this information? Are you trying to get the contractors to become more
The NPS is 80. I gloat. Yeah, no.
No, I'm just saying, how do you exactly slice and dice the information? What action do you take as a result of this information in your NPS score up?
Again, it's not even just the numbers, whatever. The numbers go up on a dashboard, and they're a good kind of snapshot of what's going on. But ultimately, it's more the qualitative feedback that's very important. Yeah. So what do we do with it?
Do you reach out to people individually or to understand more about what's going on?
We do. So remember this model of everything feeding back in together? When our emails go out and people respond, those responses are sent into our database, which is also our email marketing tool. So it automatically opens a conversation with that customer. I'll show you a little bit later on as well. This is good. You guys are thinking ahead. You're doing my job for me. But yeah, we will follow up immediately and take action where necessary. And then that's kind of on a case-by-case basis. But then we'll also send that feedback into bigger spreadsheets where our product team can look at it for features, for example. But really, when it comes to segmenting the information, that's based on business goals. So if you want to improve, let's say, your trial to paid conversion rate, then you look at that cohort and you see what the feedback is from those people. If you want to improve churn, then you look at the feedback from customers who have churned. But the point being, if you always have that information, then you can actually do something with it. But you don't just act on it for the sake of it being there. It has to come from whether it's a financial goal or a very customer-focused goal. It needs to be part of a larger plan. All right, let's mosey, minute and 50 seconds. Okay, so in a perfect world, everyone in your company would be a cat with a Rambo and riding a unicorn, where they know everything about your customers. Product would make the best decisions. Yeah, you know what? I think it was Tien from Zuora yesterday who said that customer success should be working themselves out of a job. I totally agree, completely. I would love an organization where customer success is completely redundant because the product is so well built, we are not needed. That's my dream world. So to do that, you really need to make sure that you're socializing that customer's voice internally. So along with finding that information, you got to make sure that everyone in the company is aware of it. Because customer success, we already know what's going on with our customers. Among friends here, we are not the problem. We know how our customers feel. Yeah, don't tell. But you got to make sure other people in the company buy into that same vision. So how do you share this information? Just a couple of examples of what we do. Dashboards, dashboard all the things. Share that information, get both the quantitative and qualitative information up there. Someone on my team recently recommended, because we're trying to really attack churn this coming year, they were like, let's set up a churn committee. Let's have one person from each team within the company own kind of these conversations with churning customers. They can get together, they can discuss why this is happening, take that information back to their teams so that that customer voice is then socialized throughout the whole company. Customer interviews, we used to like bring a customer in now and again or set up a Skype call where we would have like engineering and product and CS and marketing all talk to that customer. The difference between a churn committee is like churn is if people are leaving, and customer interviews are if people are happy and staying. You want to talk to both. Case studies, you know, whenever someone new is hired at your company, like get them on the phone with a customer, give them a list of questions to ask that customer so that they can go like learn about them. What are their problems? Why are they using your software or your service? Like what do they need it to do that it can't do? What is their workflow like? And then like right from day one, they're thinking about customers. And then we also train through customer success. So people who come and join our company have to spend time either answering support tickets or just like learning really everything we do day to day. Like Lou is kind of sitting in the back, and she's a huge advocate for this as well. It's wonderful to have someone train through customer success, go back to whatever their their team is, and have conversations. Be like, well, actually, when I was on support the other day, someone was asking about this other particular thing. So why don't we do that? It's like, thank you, exactly. So for dashboards, if you're interested, we have this post on Inside Unbounce. Mark is on our customer success team. He's a super technical, brilliant guy, and he's gone through a very detailed process of how we take the feedback we collect and then actually share it. So here's some dashboards. This is our kind of our various NPS scores, our retention rates, like the number of customers we have at different phases of the life cycle. Here, this is kind of an evaluation of our support team. And then, like I said, that kind of qualitative feedback, as it comes in, it's just constantly put up on the dashboard. So that as people are like walking by or having lunch, they're like, whoa, cool, good job, Justin. Justin does a really good job all the time. But it's awesome, because then that information is out there. You know, like, every person here has information in spreadsheets, in Google Drive. They're like, why didn't you read the spreadsheet? Like, it's there, why don't you look at it? Well, because like, people just won't do it unless it's easy for them and unless it's part of their regular workflow. And I can't get everyone in our company to go in and read this information, but they will read it while they're walking in from a coffee. So pretty important. And this is an example of one of the product-focused ones. Please forgive the updates ready to install notification in the top right corner. But again, like various NPS scores that we track. This is in our lunchroom, and this is all feedback on responsive. So when people fill out the responsive NPS surveys, it goes up here, and while our developers are eating lunch, they're like, oh, really? I didn't even know that was a problem. We should maybe dig into that and see what's going on. So very, very important to find your customer's voice and then socialize it. Yeah, what's up? Like a customer community?
Yes.
Yeah, go to academy.unbounce.com, and then you can see it there. Yeah.
Here's my question. I'm the one and only in my company for success.
I've been there.
I'm trying to convince my CEO and also CTO and much other people sees the beginning of the title that we should have a community. Our customers have actually asked for it, and every single person is like, whoa, we're afraid we don't want it to turn into a bitch session. So what can I say?
Hey man, you give customers a megaphone and they will use it.
Yeah,
like,
so what, do you have any thoughts about that, or how to?
I think denying a community because you think your customers are going to bitch about your product is like getting rid of your downgrade button so people can't churn. Like, it's still there. Like, acknowledge it. This will allow you to do something about it. Whereas if you totally just deny that it exists, then you're going to have bigger problems.
Yeah.
We can maybe chat afterwards about this. I got to hurry through these now. I've been talking real long. No, it's all good. Okay, so I was going to go through this thing where I'm like, hey, hands up, how many of you know that you're supposed to like collect feedback and then share it internally? And then hopefully a lot of you would put up your hands and you'd be like, yes, I know I'm supposed to do it. And then I'll be like, okay, but if you collect this feedback but you're not actually doing anything with it, this is how you are choosing to live your lives every single day. There are warning signs around you and you're like, it's fine. Like this, actually, your customer community, a really good example, where you know there's a problem, but you're kind of just denying that there's something there. Like, yeah.
Our joke around the office is it's probably fine.
Yeah. Share this. It's fine, it's fine. All right, so you also have to act on your customer's voice. You know, you need to find it, you need to socialize it, and then you actually have to do something with it. So Priscilla, you asked what we do when we get feedback, like NPS feedback that comes in. So here is someone who replied to one of our NPS survey responses. They said like they were having all these issues with the mobile editor. And so right off the bat, we were able to make sure that they got added to the beta for a feature that addresses that issue. And then they're like the happiest things in the world. This is one of the Google Drive spreadsheets where our survey feedback is all populated. So our product team, when they're going to look to validate kind of improvements to different features, they can go look at the customers, build pivot tables, and then kind of find the most relevant information. So really, what you need to do from day one, customer success should be so critical to a company. Even if it's not called customer success, it doesn't really matter, but you need to establish a customer advocacy group within your company, whether it's product, whether it's CS, whether it's support, whatever. Someone needs to be the voice for your customers in your organization. I just happen to think customer success is the best one to handle that. Actually, customer success and product, kind of co-owning it, is like my dream world. But we're all CS, so we'll just be like, yeah, CS. So empower those teams then to bring your customer's voice to the table at all stages of planning, all the time, always. And if you do that, you will have this synergy where you are all more powerful together than separately. This is an example of some OKR planning we've done where we have MRR churn is the thing we're trying to tackle, but very customer-focused goals because they're super important to our organization. So decide who owns the voice of your customers, find that voice, socialize it, act on it, and if you can do that, then you will avoid that disaster earlier. And even if your customer tells you that they want this weird three-layer swing, CS will understand it properly, product will build it properly, and your customer will actually get what they need in the end. Circling back to elementary school massage CS, it's really just all about communication. You just need someone to be the advocate. So, thanks.